Good morning, children. I hope you all are fit and fine. So let's begin the English literature with poem number 1, The Heart of the Tree, which is written by Henry Keller Bunner. This poem is for class 9th and 10th. This video is prepared by Mrs. Ashima Vanchu. I hope this video will be helpful to you to study the poem Heart of the Tree. Now I am going to tell you about Henry Keller Bunner, who is a poet of the poem Heart of the Tree. Henry Keller Bunner was an American novelist, journalist, and a poet who has written feeling about the benefits of planting a tree. His poems describes the innumerable benefits of trees and the shade and shelter they bring to all life. He claims that people who plant trees plan for a future and for the people they do not know. On another level, planting a tree is a symbolic act of goodness, one from which many other acts of goodness will sprout. Although written over a century ago, the poem is very relevant in an age where rapid and reckless development and urbanization are taking their toll on the environment. He has written many poetries and short stories also. And his fiction primarily depicts the scene and the people of New York City. He was born on August 3rd, 1855 in New York, particular city Oswego, and died on May 11, 1896. The Heart of the Tree, written by American poet and novelist Henry Keller Bunner, is a fine piece of poetry with a simple theme and a simple structure. This poem was originally published in 1912. As we all know that planting a tree is always a great work for the mankind, but the poet has found out new ways to look at the plants and the plantation. In this poem, he glorifies the act further and shows how a tree helps life on earth and says that it has a direct connection to a nation's growth. In this poem, Bunner focuses the reader's attention on the value of planting a tree. We all know that felling of the trees has led to environmental disasters in our time. So, in this poem, what he has done is, he has divided this poem in 3 stanzas. And each stanza starts with a refrain. Refrain means the repetition of the same line in which the poet is asking a question. So, in every stanza, he has started the poem with the same line. What does he plant who plants a tree? So, in every stanza, he begins by asking a question that what the man actually plants who plants a tree. Then, he chooses to reply it by himself and shows what a tree means to the humankind and to the nature, thus proving how great that man is. The rhyming scheme of this poetry is amazing. The rhyming scheme, the rhythm is amazing in this poem. As you can see, the rhyming scheme is AB, ABB, CC, AA for each stanza. This is a deviation from the celebrated Spenserian stanza a 9-line stanza with the scheme AB, ABB, CB, CC. Though the language is quite simple, careful, wording makes the poem more expressive and obviously musical and attractive. As you can note down the rhyming scheme AB, ABB, CC, AA. In the poem, when you see the first stanza, you will find out the last word of every line. Like the first line is, what does he plants, who plants a tree? So you can see the sound of tree is A. In the next line, he says, he plants a friend of sun and sky. Sky with the sound B, because it is a different sound of, in tree we have a sound of E. Now sky, I. So he plants the flag of breezes free, but you can see that free is similar to tree. So here we can give another A, because tree and free seems the same sound. And then sky, high, anai. So these three words have the same sound, so sound B. But in the next line you can see, for song and mother croon of bird. So bird is a different sound. Now it does not match with the tree, sky, free, high or anai. So we will write C here. But yes, anai and afterwards bird and herd are of same sound. So C, C. And then again harmony, a tree, E sound again it is there. So again we will write AA. Likewise in the other two stanzas. So the rhyming scheme is AB, ABB, CC, AA. The heart of the tree, stanza number 1. Now I am going to read the poem first. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants a friend of sun and sky. He plants the flag of breezes free. The shaft of beauty towering high. He plants a home to heaven anigh. For song and mother croon of bird, in hushed and happy twilight heard. The treble of heaven's harmony, these things he plants who plant a tree. So, in this first stanza, the poem is underlining the value of planting a tree. As you can see, the stanza number 1 is beginning with a question. The question is, what does he plant who plants a tree? So this question is a refrain here, because you can see a little later that in each and every stanza the poet has begun the stanza with the same question. But after that, the answer to this question he has written by himself by saying that he plants a friend of sun and sky, he plants the flag of breezes free, and many more things. What does he plant who plants a tree? As this poem opens with a refrain which asks a question, what does he plant who plants a tree? And that sets the tone of the entire poem. We instantly realize that the poet is going to explain the usefulness of planting a tree. However, the poet himself answers by stating that the man plants a friend of sun and sky by planting a tree. Now, how you can say that a plant which is going to be grown up will be considered as a friend of sun and sky? A plant grows upwards and aims to reach the sun and the sky. So it is as if the sun and the sky get a new friend in a tree. Secondly, the tree needs sunlight and air to survive. And finally, the tree seems to absorb the heat and save the earth from the scorching sun. So it gives an implication that the sun becomes friendly in the presence of the trees. The third thing which you can feel is that when the tree prepares food, means any plant prepare food, They make it in the presence of sunlight, air and water. So, as a friend in need is a friend indeed, so here the sunlight is also helpful, the air is also helpful for the trees to prepare their food. So, they becomes a friend to the trees, and the trees seem to absorb the heat and save earth from the heat of the sun, the scorching sun. So all these facts shows that yes, the one who plants a tree is actually planting a friend for sun and sky. Now the speaker now adds that the man plants a flag that flies freely in the mild breeze, because whenever the one will plant a tree, their leaves will flutter as if a flag flutters. So same way he is telling here that a tree is a friend of congenial atmosphere. It reduces air temperature and even purifies air by trapping dust, pollens and smoke, and it ensures free gentle breezes. Then the poet says, he plants a home to heaven anigh, because the leafy branches of the tree, which are being compared as a flag, and the stems he has compared with the beautiful shaft. Shaft is a pole or a tower, because when the particular tree will grow up, it will become like a tower which stands tall. So by planting a tree, the man actually plants a home for the sweet singing birds in the sky. As the poet has written, no, he plants a home to heaven anigh. Anigh is close to heaven. So the one who plants a tree is actually making a home which is quite close to heaven, and this home is for the song and the mother croon of birds. Mother croon you can note down, the mother birds who are giving the sweet songs like a lullaby of a mother. So they are also singing sweetly to their young ones, so that particular tree will grow up and it will make a house or a home which will be close to heaven, where the birds will sit and sing the mother croon, the lullabies. And this would be sung in the time of twilight. Hushed is, here he has written, no, in hushed and happy twilight heard. Hushed is silent, and twilight is the time of period of the time when the day ends, or you can say the sun has just gone down. So at that time you can feel the chirping of the birds, the singing of the birds. So it keeps the earth habitable for the birds and helps in maintaining the ecosystem. So in the entire stanza, the heart of the tree, the poet accentuates the importance of the trees in maintaining the holistic beauty of the nature. Moreover, the use of the words like heaven and I, heaven's harmony, towering eye is aimed at giving an impression that the work of planting a tree is indeed a heavenly and glorious deed. Now in stanza number 2, what does he plant who plants a tree? Again you can see the same line is being repeated in the opening of stanza number 2, in which the same question the poet is asking, that what does he plant who plants a tree? So again he is giving the answer, the reply to himself, that he plants cool shade and tender rain, and seed and buds of days to be, and years that fade and flush again, and he plants the glory of the plain. He plants the forest heritage, the harvest of a coming age, the joy that unborn eyes shall see. These things he plants who plants a tree. So in this stanza now the poet again repeats the same question, and while writing the same question he is again providing the answer in a simple manner, that what actually that planter is planting, who is planting a tree. So the poet repeats the question to begin a new stanza and attempts to answer again in the subsequent lines. The tree he plants provides us with cool shade and helps in bringing rain. Everyone knows this fact, that the trees are very helpful to bring rain on earth. And as nowadays we can see, we people are cutting down the trees for our needs, and that is the reason no rains are there, or even the ecological balance is being disturbed. So here, although he has written this poem in 1912, so many years before, still he was aware that what importance a tree has in human life. But still we are not paying attention towards these all problems and the solution to that. So in that time only he has written that the one who is planting a tree will surely plant a particular thing which will provide us the cool shade and which will help us to bring the rain, and that is the tree. And seeds and birds of days to be. So when the tree will produce the seed and the birds, it will be helpful for the future, because years will pass silently but the tree will remain there, though its seeds producing new trees. Trees are the main elements that make a plain area green and beautiful. As we can see outside, no? So sometimes if we'll consider the example of our own school itself, where our classes, if we'll see outside of the class, there lot many trees are there, so much beauty. But if we'll see that playground area, so there is not that much trees are there. So that area is only grassy area is there, but the beauty we can find is that in that area only where lot many trees are there. Or you can say, like, when the summer vacations are there, everybody wants to go towards nature. Nobody wants to go towards barren landed area, because that is soothing to our eyes and it refreshes our mind. So same way here he is telling, because the years will pass but these trees will give the beauty to the future, to the plain areas, as the plain area will be green and beautiful if the trees will be there. So the poet describes trees as the glory of the plain, the beauty of the plain. Moreover, today's single tree may turn into a forest someday. So by planting a tree, now the man plants a forest heritage. Now maybe you are planting a single tree, but the seeds, the flowers, the fruits will make more trees. So maybe in future that single tree will turn into the forest. The speaker mentions that planting a tree today would give fruits in coming days. Your grandfather has planted a tree, and today you are taking fruits out of it. So if we will not plant a tree, each and every tree is having a perishable life, no? After 20 years, 25 years, so that tree would die. So if we will not be helpful in the same act, or we will not be growing trees or planting plants, so how our next generation is going to get fruits or the other things, the benefits which we are taking? So here also the speaker has mentioned that planting a tree today would give fruits in coming days. Our next generation, because he has used the word unborn eyes. Unborn eyes means the next generation, those eyes which have not taken birth yet, those have not seen the word yet, means the unborn children. So our next generation would be delighted seeing so much of vegetation and reap its benefits. So all the credit goes to the man who plants a tree. In this stanza, the poem heart of the tree, the poet stresses on the importance of planting a tree for making this earth a better living place for the future generation. Stanza number 3 again begins with the question, that is, what does he plant who plants a tree? He plants in sap and leaf and wood, in love of home and loyalty, and forecast thought of civic good, his blessings on the neighborhood, who in the hollow of his hand holds all the growth of our land. A nation's growth from sea to sea steers in his heart who plants a tree. Again, this stanza begins with the same question, and the speaker is giving reply to the asked question by himself. There are many other benefits of planting a tree, as you can see in this stanza. Like good values like love, loyalty are planted when one plants and nurtures a tree. Planting a tree also does civic good. The tree benefits all the neighbors around. The poet emphasizes the fact that a country's growth and development depends upon its wealth of trees. So he says that one who plants a tree is conscious of the fact. So, by planting a tree, the man shows his love and loyalty towards the earth, that is his home. So, his sense of civic duty and the blessing on the neighborhood. All these things are reflected in sap and leaf and wood in every cell of the tree. The sap, you can note down, it is a liquid in a plant that carries food to all the parts. Civic good is the welfare of the people living in the same town or city. So here it is reflected like the one who plants a tree is having a love or loyalty towards earth, or that is his home, and he is having a civic duty, civic sense that yes, if I will be doing something good, it would be for the welfare of the people of the society. So it would be proved as a blessing on the neighborhood. So by planting a tree, the man directly or indirectly contributes to the nation's growth. When a tree is being planted, it sets in motion the progress of nation from sea to sea. And all these starts from the progressive thought in the man's heart who plants a tree. In this poem, you can see the capitalization in the word his, that indicates that the man who plants a tree is all powerful and the destiny maker of a nation. So the last line is quite important as it talks about the man's heart, his feelings, dreams and wishes behind planting the tree. This also leads to the poem's title, that is, The Heart of the Tree. Thus, the poet Henry Keller Bunner ends up composing an uncommon piece of poetry in Heart of the Tree out of a common and a clique topic, the usefulness of planting a tree. So let us see in a précis manner the summary of The Heart of the Tree. In this poem, the poet describes the long-lasting civic good one participates in when planting trees in one's neighborhood. The poem begins with the speaker asking the most important question of the poem: what does it mean to plant a tree? The speaker wants to understand the full range of possibilities. The following lines and the rest of the poem do their best to answer the question. The speaker comes of the conclusion that the trees are planted with only the best intentions in mind. They are like monuments to heaven and homes for the mother birds who sing in the twilight. He also described them as being a path of immortality. One who plants a tree is assuring that those in the future who appreciate it will have to thank him. In the final lines, the speaker comes to his final conclusion that planting a tree is done only for the civic good of a community. In Heart of the Tree, the poet has used imagery in which you can visualize the things, you can audit the images. Here, two senses are being used. The things which you can visualize, which you can feel that are going to be happen in front of your eyes. Like the examples of the visual images which the poet has used is the shaft of beauty towering high. After reading this line, we can imagine that yes, the trees are in front of our eyes. They are they are so tall that they can be compared as the shaft, the tower. The flag of breeze is free, and as the leaves are also there and they are fluttering like a breeze. In another line, he has used auditory images which we can feel, we can hear the sounds of something. Like in the line, you can hear the sound of chirping of birds, the lullabies sung by the mother crones, like for song and the mother croon of birds. So in this line, we can hear the sounds, or we can imagine that yes, the birds are chirping or they are giving lullabies to their young ones. So, to beautify the poem, he has used a few literary devices like metaphor, alliteration, personification, imagery. So, the poet has deployed alliteration in many of the places to add to the rhythm of the poem. So now the question is, what is alliteration? So alliteration is the repetition of the consonant sounds at the beginning or the stressed syllables of words. So some examples are, like in the first stanza you can see, what does he plant who plants a tree? The repetition of the sound pl, P-L is repeated. Then in the next line, he plants a friend of sun and sky. The sound S is being repeated. In another line, he plants a home to heaven and I. The sound H is being repeated. Then in hushed, happy, twilight heard, again the repeated sound of H is there in this line. Then the last line, the treble of heavens, harmony. Here again he has repeated the sound H. In the further stanzas, you can also note down the same things like, and ears that fade and flush again. The sound F is being repeated. The one who is planting a home to heaven and I, as home and heaven, H sound is being repeated. So this way you can find out the alliteration in this poem, where you will feel the consonant sounds are beginning and they are stressing the syllables of the words. Then personification is also being used. Now personification is, it is a figure of speech in which abstract ideas or inanimate objects are given attributes of living beings. The poet personifies a tree when he calls it a friend of sun and sky. Generally, a friend is a human being, but here the friendship he has used as an abstract idea which is a particular attribute of the living beings, and here he has used the tree, means he has personified the tree when he has called it as a friend of sun and sky. In this poem he has used metaphor also. So metaphor is an implied comparison between two different things where there is a point of similarity. As he has compared the flag of breeze is free and the shaft of beauty towering high. So these are the best example of the metaphors in the poem, because here the leafy branches of the tree are being compared to a flag and the stems are being compared to a beautiful shaft standing high. So all these figures of speech, which are the literary devices which he has used, gives a beauty to the poem. This poem is having contemporary relevance. This poet is quite relevant nowadays, means in our time, as the forests are being cut indiscriminately for building houses, roads and bridges. Air temperature is increasing and there is a great danger to the environment due to deforestation and its adverse ecological effects. Through this simple poem, the poet Henry Keller Bunner delivers his message that a tree not only helps us to survive in this world but also brings us an ethereal joy, secures the life of our future generation and has a direct connection to a nation's growth. Plantation is also a symbolic act of goodness that can inspire many other people do good to others. Thus, this message is universal and time one, true for all the nations and all the times. Moreover, in the 21st century, in an age where rapid and reckless development and urbanization are taking their toll on the environment, this becomes quite relevant. Though written over a century ago, this poem continues to prove its relevance and inspire people to plant trees even today. The theme of the poem, The Heart of the Tree. The poem Heart of the Tree might actually have a number of themes, though the primary focus is on why trees are essential for human existence. The usefulness of trees. This is a prominent theme in this poem, as the poet describes how a tree helps in keeping this earth habitable. Appreciation for natural beauty. Henry Bunner here shows his appreciation and demands the same from the readers for the beautiful aspects of nature. He wants us to love nature and its object in order to help ourselves to live better. The comparisons of a tree to a flag of breezes free and to a heavenly home for the bird says it all. Now it becomes the responsibility for the future generation. In the entire second stanza, the poet has talked about the responsibility to make this world a better living place for our future generation. The lines which express the theme very well are the seeds and birds of days to be, the harvest of a coming age, or the joy that unborn eyes shall see. All these lines express this theme quite well. Now it is a duty to fellow men and the nation. In the third stanza of the poem, the Bunner talks about how a man can perform his duties towards his neighborhood and to his nation by planting a tree. In love of home and loyalty and far-cast thought of civic good, his blessings on the neighborhood, a nation's growth from sea to sea. All these lines convey the theme of responsibility of our fellow men. Thank you, class, for listening this PPT. I hope the explanation done by me will be helpful for you